Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play Podcast, your launch pad for skyrocketing success in real estate investing. I'm your host, Gabe Rodarte, alongside Mark Monroe. We're ready to bring you transformative stories, groundbreaking strategies, and the insider secrets of real estate giants. Get ready to accelerate your investment journey and become a true power player in the world of real estate. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play Podcast. And today we have an awesome episode with a good friend of mine, Jaden Smith from the great state of Michigan. This is going to be really fun because we connected over just a deal that we were doing that we're going through together. And then a mutual friend of ours who is in a whole nother state. And the three of us got to connect in different areas and just go over deals and just really cool stuff that happens in commercial real estate. So we're going to deep dive into commercial real estate marketing, using social media, and pretty much what we see the wave that's coming up, and really just how to put that into practice, really how to put in the marketing strategy into practice, and how to get in front of sellers, and how are we getting in front of and networking with other people. And as you guys know, we really like networking here at the Power Play Podcast, and Mark Monroe and I. Check out the stuff that we're doing over on our different sites that this is getting posted on. Please like and share, subscribe. We've been building this out now for quite a while. We're over 115, 120 episodes now. And it's been really good. And we're getting some great guests on our show, just like today. So, Jaden, how you been?
I've been great, Gabe. Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure as always. As you mentioned, we connected quite some time ago regarding a deal, a shopping center, as we all know and love, is my bread and butter. And look where we are now. We're connecting on so many different levels, and we'll be in ICSC in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. So that's exciting. And I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, we'll go over that too for those who never heard of ICSC. So, Jaden, our audience and the people that listen to the show is we're all real estate people. We either started from grassroots, we're just getting started, maybe we're just getting into it and just bought a house, or maybe we're buying an industrial building, or maybe looking at buying a small retail shopping center. You have a really nice niche in that area. You've been doing it for a while, and you have a good name. So just keep that in mind as we go through this, and maybe we might need to pause and give some explanations and certain things. So what is your main thing? What do you do right now? How'd you get started in the whole business?
So I started just over 4 years ago. I started out in the single tenant net lease retail aspect. And, that included a lot of Dollar Generals. I've sold almost 10 KFCs now. I was known for being the KFC queen in my office. And that slowly progressed into shopping centers. Reason being, I was working on some Family Dollars and accidentally called a landlord who's actually my number one client now with a Family Dollar as the anchor in the center. And so that one thing led to another. Ended up doing an evaluation, a BOV, as some of you may know, a broker's opinion of value, where you essentially evaluate and let the client know what the property is worth in today's market. And that ended up coming to an agreement of a price. And he said, hey, if you can get me this number, I will go ahead and sell. So that's, with that being said, I ended up listing that shopping center with our mutual friend, which created, a long-term relationship there. And that client is still my client to this day. We're looking for some more shopping centers. And so, as you know, shopping centers and single tenant net lease deals are completely different. There's so many different components that, go into a shopping center. Common area maintenance, that's not, included in a single tenant net lease deal where you have zero landlord responsibilities. There's a lot of different moving parts, and that just honestly, it fascinated me, and it just really inspired me to learn more about shopping centers, what it takes, and all of these different, like I said, components that that make up a shopping center and all the leases and all the things of that nature. So um, with that being said, I continue to strive to focus on shopping centers. I built the clientele just from that first ever shopping center listing that I had down in Crescent City, Florida, with the Family Dollar anchor. And as you all know, it's all about relationships and building those connections and planting seeds is what I like to say. And you have to plant these seeds, water them, nurture them, for years to come, because in this game it's all about the long-term relationships. So
Absolutely. What is okay, and so and you do you're known as a LinkedIn influencer, right? So you do a lot of movement and stuff on there. Is that one of the major areas that you do for as far as getting out there and meeting people, or is that just local meetups, or what do you do in general?
So over the past couple of years, as I'm sure most people know, social media has just had such an impact on our field. Twitter, retweet, real estate, Twitter is huge and trending, and there's so many valuable resources and using social media for commercial real estate. I started off last year. I made a commercial real estate Instagram and just wanted to kind of get my presence out there. As you know, there's brokers, investors all across the country, and it's hard to meet people face to face, nowadays, and unless you're going to ICSC or some kind of networking event. And I just wanted to get the most basically I get as many eyes on my deals and on me and what I do as possible. And social media has truly changed the game, not just for me, but for so many others. And it has allowed us to connect with a broker out of California that I would have never met or connected with if it wasn't for a platform, such as LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook, TikTok, you name it. It's just such a valuable resource for us, and we need to use it to our advantage. So yeah, I've definitely used it to my advantage, and I will continue to do so. And I'm pro social media. I think whatever business you're in, whether it's commercial real estate or not, I think it can be so beneficial. And a lot of times, it's hard to put yourself out there. It's hard to post, a picture or tweet, or you may not know what to say. And honestly, just getting started and trying to learn and look at what others post, and even your opinions. People like to respond and to hear other people's opinions and get some other insights. So overall, I think that if you just start it, and continue to work at it each day, it can definitely grow your business for whatever field you are in.
Absolutely.
So.
That's so good. I'm glad the way you're plugging it and the way that you're really sharing it is it's really it's a must nowadays, right? I mean, it's a must for you to do. I know that the different businesses that we have, everything is social media. I don't know anything that we do that's not on social media. Um, I mean, besides maybe like a rental, the stuff that we do, I mean, we don't really,
Yeah.
do a lot of that. But as far as whenever we do seller financing on properties, we find buyers for those on social media. Whenever we do commercial stuff, we do commercial stuff through social media, and we let everyone know what we're buying, what's our criteria, what are we looking for. If we have a center that might need something, we just kind of go through and sift through the people that have already reached out to us. And so I'm really big in that. I really don't know how would we reach out. I don't know how people did it before. I guess they were all local, right? And how did they have
Email,
like yeah,
writing letters,
right?
flyers.
Like it's just really weird. How did they meet up with someone across the nation to do a deal? So and then one of the things you mentioned, which is really powerful, like it's really powerful, guys, to see even someone like Jaden, how old are you?
I'm 25.
25. So she's 25, under the age of 30 range, where she is obviously social media is everything. You grew up with it, you're used to it. My generation, believe it or not, I mean, I'm still young, but there's still people on the fence wondering, okay, Do I really still have to do this? Do I still have to post? But you're talking about it the same thing. You're saying it for yourself also, going, man, I still have to make myself post. I still have to make myself get out there and come up with creative things to attract people. What is something that you're seeing, just kind of going in that vein, that you're saying, you know what, this is something that I have to be really intentional about when you do post and when you do let your community know what you do? Is it, you got to remind yourself, hey, I gotta share something today? Is it something that you're like planning out in weeks in advance? How is your approach towards it all?
So I was lucky enough to be nominated for one of the top commercial real estate influencers on Instagram last year. And like I told you, I made it last year, maybe 3 months after I had created my accounts, I got nominated. And first of all,
Wow.
at first I thought it was a scam. I'm like, what?
Wow.
There's no way. But there actually is a network, commercial real estate influencer network, and they held a summit, an event down in
Wow.
Orlando. And I'm so grateful I went to this event. I learned so much from some of the most influential commercial real estate people on social media altogether. And they preach on creating content and storing it, even if you don't post it, if you come up with an idea, or you just have a random thought in a shower, write it down, take a picture wherever you may be, even if you don't post it, just gather content. And I constantly think of ideas and just thoughts that I can share to bounce ideas off other people. I think putting two heads together is so beneficial, and just getting to hear what somebody else's stance is on certain things. And so going back to the CREI summit, they prepped us and basically, taught us to continue to make it a priority. You have to remind yourself, as you said, you have to remind yourself, you have to make it a priority and be conscious of bringing value. It's when I post something on social media, I try to think of it as, how can I provide value? Just, as in commercial real estate deals, what is the value? Bring the value, and it goes a long ways. So I try to bring value with, everything that I do, whether that's a deal, an opinion, an off-market property, a suggestion, a tip, um, whatever the case may be, just try to provide value.
Man, I like that. Um, I think one of the things I like to do is that when I talk to just investors in general, is get like, did you see what that was on CoStar? Did you see that thing that just came out? No, I didn't see that thing. Okay, cool. I'll send that over to you. I think you need to read this article. Just small stuff like that. You won't believe. I mean, it's kind of shocking sometimes where someone's like, dude, I didn't even know. I'm just working, right? And they're like, thanks you so much for sharing this stuff. I didn't know this was happening in this side of the country or in my marketplace or what I'm about to jump in. And we're talking about commercial where there's millions and millions of dollars that's getting put to work, right? And so
Absolutely.
those people who are the decision makers, they want to be well informed. And so one of the things that I've been noticing, and I've been working more on this, Jaden. I want to be more like you, but I've been working more on just learning different ways to provide value to my network of people, whether there are investor partners that I work with, lenders, um, brokers that I work with, how we can work more with brokers. I actually like it. I came from the world of working with direct to realtors whenever we were doing, we've done hundreds of flips on houses, and we've worked with realtors a lot, realtors that it's really simple. It's really easy for me. It's a niche that I enjoy. That's how you and I connected. Not a lot of people enjoy that. So I know that's my edge, right? Where I don't mind those conversations. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, how can I provide value? Right. And that's why we're on this podcast right now, by the way, guys, because Jaden called me and something happened and we got to mix up a schedule. And I'm like, let's do it now. So we're hopping on, we're getting it done. We're knocking it out because we're just providing each other so much value within a time frame. I'm like, let's just do a podcast over it. Um, So that's really gold. I like what you said about creating the content, getting the stuff in the now moment, because it's kind of a fleeting thought sometimes. And if you talk about it or if you don't do it, it's kind of lost, right? You lose the momentum.
Absolutely. And I still have things that I haven't posted from that summit last year. It's like you're constantly thinking of something new and something old, and you can tweak it even for something as simple as National Coffee Day, right? Just, hey, happy National Coffee Day, get somebody's attention. It doesn't have to always be, something complex or, an article. Yes, that's great and that provides the most value. But just also something to get their attention or, I post my buyer needs a lot. I will post, hey, looking for shopping centers in Georgia, up to 5 million grocery anchored shopping centers, and somebody in Texas may have something that's off market that I would have never seen if
That's
I
so
didn't
cool.
post that and grab their attention. So it's everybody's different and everybody has their own flavor and their own style of doing it. I think just making that first step, like I said, and actually doing it is the first step. And you learn as you go with everything. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this thing, guys, we started off doing a podcast with a couple good friends of mine, and honestly, I've only met two of them. So I have
wow.
yet to meet Jaden in person. We get to meet at ICSC. We're going to do that,
Yeah.
but I only met two of them in person. And then there's four of us, and then that's it. And so we create this podcast, and it wasn't for like a year and a half before we all got together in West Palm Beach, and we're just enjoying a time together. Got to, do all the cool stuff that you could do over there or Palm Beach. Um, so yeah, it was like a year and a half later. So it's cool how you can just do things nowadays, and it's all online. We had a team meeting the other day, and someone's like, "Well, you guys want to go in the office?" And I'm like, "I don't have time. Let's just do it." We got more people in a team meeting because we were able to just hop on Zoom. Three of them were on the car ride, but we got everybody's input. We're able to move forward. So that is the times we live in, and it's beautiful to me. I love it. Um, you
It's
mentioned,
crazy.
go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go
No,
ahead.
it's crazy, following these people on social media and supporting one another and putting that face to the name is just something I appreciate and I look forward to with meeting everybody for the first time. It's there's nothing like meeting face to face after, you're having this long-term relationship or doing deals. We're constantly talking over the phone, but that face to face, connection is just so special. So
It is key. And you travel too. You do some of these events, right? Like you're not just in your neck of the woods. You're going places.
absolutely. I was in California a week and a half ago to meet a developer who flew in from overseas. And then I went from California, stopped back in Michigan, changed my all my attire, and then headed out to New York for the real estate gala hosted by Bob Knackle and Strip Mall Guy. And they had a bunch of events, not just the gala, but networking events that we were lucky enough to be invited to. And that was one of those scenarios where I got to put, those faces to the name of the people that I've been talking to for, some time, some years. And it was really, really cool experience and got to see Bob Knackle. If you guys don't know, Bob Knackle is a pretty
Yeah.
incredible man and an amazing broker, one of the best, if not the best brokers.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool seeing his map room and he he talks about having a niche and a specializing in something, and I think that is very important as well. There's so many different asset classes and so many different deals that can be done, but I think specializing in one thing and just becoming a master, or at least trying to master that, is very important as well, just because you know what you're talking about. Like I said, I focus on shopping centers, a lot of them being in Florida, and I can tell you what shopping center sold last week for how much, what the price per square foot was. And I think that is another way to add value, is just becoming the best at what you do and specializing in, one certain thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. As far as learning, so the coach that helped me really get going, he's like, look, you only need two food groups. Don't go more than two food groups. And I was doing all types of stuff. We had mobile home parks. We obviously started in single family. We had all types of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? We really need to have two food groups. And so that's when I was like, okay, what are the things that I like as far as investing for myself? And I like shopping centers and I like industrial. And those are basically the ones that I enjoy the most. To me, they're fun, they're exciting. One's kind of just really easy and boring, but I like the cash flow. I like the investment strategy of it. I love the creativity of it. Um, so and of course, like retail is just the shopping center side of things is super fun. It's really exciting. There's a lot of networking going on. And you get to just see all the movers and shakers. I was telling a friend of mine, or he was telling me, he went to ICSC back when Five Guys had like 5 or 10 restaurants, and that was it.
Wow.
And he was like, man, he's like, and it wasn't that long ago. Like they just blew up, right? And so he's like, that's how long I've been around. But he's like, you go and you meet these different people, and it's amazing. So let's go into that. So retail shopping centers, it's a lot about networking. You need to have a leasing broker, basically. I mean, like what I've found out, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you need to have someone who has boots on the ground, knows that area really well, as far as like a leasing broker that can put a tenant in that type of center, right? Because sometimes there's tenants that only, if you talk about national tenants, there's local tenants that are very powerful, but they won't leave Houston Metro or Texas, but they're powerful. They're awesome. And you put them into your center and your center's strong. You got tenants that are specific to certain regions. Um, what are some of the things for someone who's listening and says, you know what, I've always wanted to own a shopping center? What are some of the key high level things that someone needs to look at besides the purchasing and going through the underwriting and aspect of it? I mean, they need to know an awesome leasing broker, right? What are other areas that you see going, this is the first thing that I start looking at when we start looking at a center for one of your clients?
As far as components of the deal underwriting, or as far as
As far
other
as like
factors?
as far as the different partners and the different people and the players in the deal. So you have a broker, right? That's helping you acquire the property that they need to reach out to. Eventually, you need a leasing broker, which isn't necessarily the same every time, right?
Nope, you need somebody with those tenant connections that, has just worked on an out parcel for a take five, that they built that strong relationship. Those are key players. Those people add so much value to you because you have an out parcel on the shopping center you're looking at, and you can then bring this guy in who has already built that relationship and say, hey, I think take five would do so well here. The traffic counts are good, the demos, the income, all of these things that come into play. And because of this person that you brought on, you're able to add value that way, and bring in tenants that you would not otherwise be able to. So I think that is definitely huge. You need to also, there's so many things that go into a shopping center. You need management. You need somebody to manage it if you're not there. Maybe somebody with boots on the ground, or maybe somebody who is previously managing the property. There's landscaping. The snow needs to get shoveled. The parking lot maintenance. You need vendors and companies that can assist in the upkeep of the shopping center, because it's not you just buy a shopping center and I collect rent. There's so many more things that come into play here. And the roof, I'm sure that you get calls all the time, hey, there's a leak in the roof here, I need somebody to
Yeah.
come out and fix it.
The
So
roof's a big thing, guys. Like roofs are not cheap to do in commercial centers. I mean, they're not in everywhere, but in commercial
yeah.
centers, because you're really impacting somebody's business. So if there's a leak in the roof and they're not able to operate, there's major legal issues that can happen in there. Or if there's just a continual drip that's just happening, doesn't look good on your center, it doesn't look good for your tenant, right? And so your tenant's going to always be calling and whatnot. Um, and one of the lessons that we've been learning is just the cost of roofs are they're not they're pricey. They can get
They're
up
not,
there,
no,
you know, you know.
no, not at
So
all.
um So yeah, so you need all these things. There's a lot of moving parts, which is why it's funny because whenever you're in brokerage, people say, well, what did the broker really do? It's like really the contacts and the relationships that that broker developed over time is really the key, right, of a broker. It's not just let me connect a buyer to a seller or let me just send you a listing. I sent you a search that I pulled last night or something that's off market. It's, hey, by the way, I also know some of the other moving parts that you need to get this thing done.
Absolutely, setting up inspections. I just had to set up an inspection for a property for Dollar General. This is not even a shopping center.
Yeah.
Um, that's in West Virginia this morning, and had to orchestrate and make sure that the manager was, on board, and there's not just somebody random coming in to inspect your roof and your property. Environmental reports. A lot of
Oh,
times
yeah.
these things need to be done, especially if there's, a laundromat or a dry cleaner, with the possibility of contaminants in the soil. So orchestrating that, I have, you know, this past week I learned a lot. I had to orchestrate a wetland delineation survey, which
Wow.
yes, yes,
Interesting.
very interesting. For because this property was located in a wetland zone and a flood zone, so I had to orchestrate that and set up, the whole survey process, and so there's a lot of things in the back end that I feel like people don't really take into consideration, or like negotiation as well. It's not just okay, here's a buyer and here's a seller and they magically agree on the same price. There's negotiations. Hey, can you shorten your due diligence timeline period? Hey, can you up your earnest money deposit? Can you make it non-refundable? All of these things that it's not we are matchmakers at the end of the day, but there's so many more things that come into it, or that play into it, I should say, that I wouldn't change it for the world. I love what I do. I love assisting and making sure
You're a
that
good
my client
matchmaker also.
I try. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more than taking a buyer and a seller and putting them together.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's go into ICSC. This is a big thing. Now, do you go to other ones, or are you going? You're going to Vegas? Are there other ones that you go to at all? Or
Yeah, New York is a good one. I went to New York in December. That was my first time at the New
cool.
York one. That was very interesting. It was huge. Not as big as Vegas. Vegas
Right.
is, the number one, but that one was very beneficial in meeting a lot of investors, and other brokers and tenant reps, from that area. And just to see so many developments going on in that city, was
Wow.
crazy. So, and then I went to Orlando, which it was a smaller local one. Had the opportunity to connect with a lot more tenants there, which I found very valuable. Got some good connects for Ollie's and Take Five and Seven Brew, Planet Fitness, you name it. So I definitely think going to these shows and networking events is such a resource if you take advantage of that, and you can blossom your book of business and just expand it tremendously from these networking events.
Yeah, and we're gonna be in Vegas. That's me.
I'm excited. Couple weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks, man. It's coming fast. So we're part of a bigger investor group, and you might know a couple of guys from there, called Commercial Academy, and that's a lot of my network and a lot of my tribe. And so we go the week before, that weekend before, because it's what Monday, what is it, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or
Yep.
Sunday, Monday,
Sunday,
Tuesday?
Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. So we'll be there in Vegas for another 4 days. So it'll be a
Love
long
that.
by time I meet you Monday, it'll be already almost a full week of us just, and we do the same thing. We mastermind, we talk about growth, we talk about how we're acquiring assets, we talk about, who's in like needs and wants. What do you need? What can I provide? Ideas. How can we expand our reach? Some of the social media stuff. And ironically, not a lot of investors and buyers are on that social media side, in my opinion. Some of them are, a lot of them are on Twitter, but not in general. There's still a sliver of them. It just looks like there's a lot of them. A lot of the buyers are, they don't want to be known. No one, they don't care to let anyone knows what goes on. Those are the guys that you talk to and the ladies that are just, I want you to represent me. I don't care if anyone knows who I am. I just want to own the asset. Right. So,
Right. 100%.
um, so just to kind of give the listener an idea of what is this thing called ICSC? Like what, and why do you go?
It is the biggest real estate conference of the year, and it's a weekend where commercial real estate people from all over the country take over Vegas, essentially.
Yeah,
And it's an opportunity for us to connect, talk about deals we're working on, what we're looking for, how we can collaborate, what ideas, maybe what tenant do you think could go in this space, what out parcel, what tenant would be a good out parcel here. There's a lot of vendors and a lot of contacts for roofing companies, or opportunities to install solar panels, or electric chargers for the electric vehicles that you can install um, at your shopping center. It's
that's
just
cool.
it's a it's a convention where the real estate commercial real estate folks take the opportunity to finally meet face to face, and basically grow your book of business even more, and figure out ways to put two heads together. So
Yeah, that is, I'm pretty excited to come. It's going to be, there's just so much to do. I'm looking through because you mentioned something else I wanted to bring up. Yeah, so if you have an opportunity, check out ICSC. If you're in the retail shopping center space or you want to get into the space, I think it's something that is a must if you're going to do retail shopping centers. It's kind of like any other conference you'd go to if you're involved in, it doesn't matter, single family people, if you're involved in your local networks, you pretty much go to the convention that's local. This is the thing that's national. I think one of the coolest things, Jaden, that I've been really falling in love with in commercial real estate is you're not just in your own backyard, right? I think
right.
I just have so many great friends by being in commercial real estate. Most of them are in commercial now, meaning I hang out with them every day, or I'm on the phone call. We're talking about other stuff. It could be from multifamily to um, industrial to shopping centers, or we're underwriting deals together, or we're running them through, our stuff. And so I work with the fund. And so might be running it through there, or might just connecting in different areas. And then you do 3 or 4, 5 phone calls and you know more about the person than you thought of before. Um,
Mhm.
so I just think that's so cool. And retail is one of those things where you can own a center in Tennessee, you can own a center in, like for us, South Texas, you can own a center anywhere. As long as it has good management, you'll be good.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, honestly, that absolutely, and the possibilities are endless in this industry, as we all know. So, it's just it's a great way to build connections, and obviously just figure out ways to increase your business, your deal flow, and overall just become better at what you do.
Before we close out, I want to get your perspective. We are in May 1st, actually. Today's the first, yay,
Can't
of
believe
the year. Yeah, 2024. And so we are exactly, I looked at it, we are exactly 4 months in. We have 2 more 4-month sections, if you want to look at it that way. I was telling my kids that. So I'm adult
it.
when it comes to that type of stuff. So I'm like, okay, how did the first 4 months go? And what do you see in retail? Do you see any shifts coming? Do you see anything to be that you're concerned on with some of your investors or some of your buyers, or just in your marketplace in general, as far as retail shopping centers? I know you do a lot of Central America to the East Coast. That's kind of like your thing. And you said you do a lot of Florida stuff, right?
Yes, I do a lot in Florida.
Okay. So what are you seeing that would just kind of give value to the listener of like what we see right now in shopping centers, and maybe diffuse some of the concerns for some of the people that might be like, oh man, this is crazy. Why would I buy anything that has the quote unquote Amazon effect, which by the way, this passed already, but what is your thoughts towards that?
Well, we'll see when the Fed meets,
Yeah.
but today. But, no, overall, I mean, obviously, rates have been, they've been higher than we'd liked for some time now, and the cap rates haven't really they've been slower to rise, they've been staying the same. Slowly but surely, we're seeing them, rise a little bit, but, there's still deals to be made, obviously. There's still money out there, and there's still a lot of opportunities. Um, but just finding the right connections is huge right now, because also some of these loans are going to be coming due, and we're gonna see what happens then. But there is a lot of money out there. Things keep moving. Obviously, we're doing better than we were quarter four of last year,
Yeah.
and I think, towards this the end of this year, I think, things will continue to, get better. Here's hoping. But there's still money out there. There's still deals to be made. It's all about connecting with the right people. Making those cold calls, seeing what
Cold
people are
calls.
up to, what's
Yeah.
on the radar, what their goals are, for quarter two, and quarter three, and what their quotas are that they have to meet. So I see, I
Good
see
thing.
it, I see it continuing to shift. We just have to get the sellers pretty much on the same page as the buyers is the hard part, because I think with these rates being, so high, and the
What they
cap
are. Yeah.
rates not meeting them as fast as we'd like, I think there's a disconnect. Um, that's what I have seen, at least, just depending on, the deal and all the factors that come into play. But we'll see what happens after the Fed meets.
Well, this is the thing that I share with people who are asked this, especially with retail centers, not so much industrial too much, really not too much whenever we get stuff that comes through that's multifamily. But really in the retail space, maybe office, but retail for sure, we're in a price discovery phase, and that's still going on. I thought that we would be done already, but it's
Yeah.
still this weird conundrum of like, okay, well, what isn't a fair asking for this property at this moment, or what is a fair offer for this property at this moment? And there's tons of seller financing out there now. A lot, almost every deal that I've run across have some type of unique structure for the financial side of things. Um, but I do run across the creative type deals. So just to let you guys know, I'm more of the value add type creative stuff that we see. Um,
We've had to get creative recently, you know?
what's that?
I said we've had to get creative recently.
We've had to, and I think everybody has though, right? In the retail space, like almost
Absolutely.
every center that you're running into, is that confirm at all, or
No, absolutely. I'm 100% on the same page as you. I mean, just negotiating, restructuring, just to make things work, because like you said, it's been difficult.
you mentioned, and this is something I want to leave with everybody with. You mentioned cold calls, and we hound down on cold calls on this show. I think this is still the gym. This will never go bad. I met you through a warm cold call, I guess. I didn't know who I was calling, and we built
Absolutely.
a relationship. So is there some tip or anything that you could give or a nugget for someone who's like just cold feel like, man, I got to do cold calling or whatnot? I try to lately, I've been trying to do a set amount per day because I've been testing myself, really just kind of go, "Oh, just these are the people that I need to call, or this is my list, or my assistant would get the list set up for me. Hey, make sure that list is ready for tomorrow." Um, can you give some encouragement for those who are like really just like, man, cold calling again? Oh my gosh. Like, give some great benefit of how powerful this is.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. That's how all deals, pretty much all deals start with a cold call. They become warm, they become hot. That's how you get to know somebody, And like I said, on that shopping center that I did in Crescent City, Florida, the Save a Lot, I called him on a Family Dollar, and ended up, following up. Follow up is so huge in this industry, providing value, seeing how, we can connect and do deals. is so huge. And I
But
started out with,
you have a unique gift though. You have a gift of conversations. So what is something you have a unique way of going, sure, not a problem. It's nonchalant. You're not pushy, but you also know how to create a conversation with someone. Is there something that you can share going, look, guys, don't overwhelm it. Like, don't overthink it. Just at like, I don't know how we talked about soccer before. We've talked about other things before. So what's your approach? How are you able to just get into these conversations? Because it's not just, hey, look, let's talk about the numbers right now,
of
right?
course, of course. No, and I think going back to bringing value, just warming up to that person, making them feel comfortable with you. Um, Nobody likes to be bombarded, you know what I mean? And obviously,
Right.
a lot of these people get calls multiple times a day from brokers across the country, and it's inevitable. But what can you do to set yourself apart from everybody else? What can you do that will differentiate you from the next broker? For me, that's for running Placer AI. I have this program that I'm a part of that's an artificial intelligence that basically tracks the foot traffic data on national tenants across the country. I'll do something like that. Hey, have you had a Placer run for your property? Can I give that for you? Do you know what your property's worth in today's market? Can I run the numbers for you so you know? And even if it's not that, even if they don't want to give you that information, just creating those relationships. And even though the market may be difficult right now, now's our time to build those connections and to be able to come back, swinging when everything picks back up. I think it's very vital right now to follow up and to continue to just make those relationships and provide value.
I think that's so interesting as a buyer. And for those who know, like we buy, we're doing all types of stuff nowadays, but um I think it's a
Yeah,
hidden gift, right? Like as a buyer though, you're not going to a seller saying, "Hey, let me tell you what the value is," because you want to get a good
true.
deal. So you have to get really creative when you're talking to people about, hey, look, have you thought about this? But what's funny is that on the single family side, that happens all the time. Like I see people do it all the time. Investors do it all the time. I have friends that like, look, I call people up, cold call all day long, and we talk about, the value of the property, what they can get, how they can move on, what are the different structures of it. And I think that it's kind of held really high just because that it's commercial or that it might be a couple more dollar signs connected to it, a couple more zeros, that it might be a little bit overwhelming. But really, these are people. And I think that's one of the things that Jaden and I were able to connect with. And we'll probably have more conversations. We'll have probably more times you on the podcast where we can deep dive into really being personal. And that's really the key is that there's many people in every industry that's not personable by the numbers. They don't care, very direct. And I like to be direct, but I do like to build that relationship over time. And we connect on that a lot. So take some tips from Jaden and be more personal in these relationships that you're building because they're long term and you got to have a long term strategy. Jaden, we got to hop off. This has been awesome. But how do people get a hold of you? What that if they run into these type of things, or maybe they're a buyer of shopping centers, what is something that or how do they get a hold of you?
So I would love to connect with anybody and everybody. I think, there's always something to learn, and I can offer you something that you can offer me, and you can offer me something I can offer you. And I would love for anybody to reach out to me. I'm on all social platforms, pretty much all except for TikTok. You can find me at Jaden, JAIDYN CRE for commercial real estate. And I'd love the opportunity to connect. So feel free to reach out.
All right, guys, we love you. See you. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.